Welcome, welcome. I love to steal that Jill Mokes introduction that she smacks on the front of all of her media. Welcome, welcome, because it feels so fun to roll off the tongue. I am Rebecca Gunter. You are watching the Stone Fruit Roll Up. This is the show about making the show that you're watching right now. We spent the last year being wildly experimental and playing around with live streaming, content creation, and collaboration with our colleagues, business besties, and people we think are extremely cool to come together and play in this digital playground. This is our community space where we love to invite folks in the comments and then also to join us in the studio and share all the cool things that they're working on, because I find it extremely inspiring to learn about what folks are working on. And today is one of those extremely special shows where we get to really peek behind the curtain on a special project that a lot of people who are in kind of the sphere of influence for live streaming and digital media, this is a household name. I am talking, of course, about my main man, Ross Brand. But before we get into, oh yeah, there he is, I'm so excited because I did not have to press the play on that picture because my girl, Kathleen Stewart, is here behind the scenes, taking the producer role and making all of it happen. We were chatting before we got online today about just how nerve-wracking it can be to be in a platform like this, making sure that all the bells and whistles run. Mostly, for me, the disconnect of going from no hosting chops to hosting chops has been around like all the mechanics around like sharing, doing the show and tell, toggling the perspective, bringing the music up, making sure we have our branding together. Also, at the same time, talking to the ring light and hoping that people are connecting and listening to this content and getting something out of it. So it's very, very cool and an up level in our show for sure to have Kathleen here. And I thank you for being a part of what we're doing. Folks, this is 2024. Obviously, it's all everybody is talking about. And that means that the predictions and the prognostications and the resolutions are lousier than fleas on an alley cat. And it's hard to know what is the real deal out there, but I have such great news because somebody that I trust and respect beyond the pale has put together a compilation of 100 plus of the most compelling predictions for live streaming and digital media. And if you're in the space at all, you know, of course, then I am talking about Ross Brand. Ross is the king of Collaboration Nation, y'all. He has this amazing ability to bring people together from all kind of walks and from podcasters to who are making online video shows. I don't know, what is that? YouTubers, etc. To bring those folks together in this really powerful community throughout a lot of his projects. He is an online creator himself, obviously, a thought leader on the power of live streaming and digital media. He essentially leads the charge, as far as I'm concerned, with all things that are about being on our online world, online culture. He believes that live streaming is the vehicle to powerfully engage with an audience, build a strong community, elevate a professional brand, and directly sell your products and services to an audience, which is awesome. He is the man behind Live Stream Universe. He is the man behind 100 TV, which was a project that I had an awesome amount of an awesome experience working with, and also the author of 100 predictions for live streaming and digital media, volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so we're really excited to have Ross here today to introduce volume 4, what he's learned from the zeitgeist, what the predictions are shaping up to be like. We're going to get our crystal ball out and have some fun with Ross. So without any further ado, let me stop talking about him and start being about him. if Ross is with us today, yes, he is. Awesome. Kathleen, if you wouldn't mind, let's bring our main man, Ross Brand, to the stage. What's up, RB?
Hey, Rebecca. Thanks for having me.
Let's do a show.
Let's do a show.
Let's do
a show. I just sent the book off, the manuscript to be formatted. So it's like, okay, 3 weeks of like being super intense on it. And now it's like, okay, we're getting there. We're getting there.
It feels real. And
yeah.
is this your first like live stream or program that's kind of launching volume 4? Is this kicking off
Absolutely.
Is this kicking off your press junket, RB?
This is worldwide, at least virtually. And I did put that, like when I posted this on LinkedIn yesterday, I or Facebook, I don't know, one of them I put like, it's a first look inside. So
ooh, the first look inside. I'm so excited. I'm also happy to tell you that we'll be joined here about halfway through the show with our friends Claudia Santiago and Rob Greenlee, co-panelists.
Wow. What a nice surprise.
On the Streamliner Report. Claudia, Rob, and I were honored to be asked by you to co-create the forward for this year's volume, and I thought it'd be really fun if we did a little reunion about the
look inside the forward.
A little look inside the forward as well. So, Claudia,
well, thank you. It's a wonderful forward, and I really appreciate all the great work that you put into it, and Rob and Claudia as well. It's really wow, I'm overwhelmed by it. So
I'm not gonna lie, RB, I'm really happy and proud of that piece, and I can't wait for it to come out. So, and because I had so much love for you. But before we talk about what is in the future for Volume 4, I thought it might be fun if we just walked a tiny bit down memory lane. Okay. If I have queued up, and if Kathleen has queued up this old YouTube video in which you and I have our very first interaction ever.
Okay.
Kathleen, do you think that we could share and present the first time Ross Brand and I ever have an interaction? And while that video is being queued up, let me tell you where it was. In 2018, Ross, you happened upon me giving a talk about positioning and messaging and branding. And then you got a little hot take video about that experience. I thought it'd be fun to walk down memory lane.
About this.
I thought you might. Let's walk down memory lane. Go ahead, Kathleen.
Wonderful speaker on branding your podcast, on coming up with a branding positioning statement. Rebecca Gunter was her name. She actually offered everybody who attended her session a 20-minute call to kind of follow up and see how we put things into practice that she taught. She gave some notes. So I look forward to chatting with her at the end of the month.
That's the brand building, because the wise woman once said, branding is a feeling. So it's about the feeling that you want to inspire in your customers. Where's my last one? Purposeful. God. Here's your feeling. Passionate, new, purposeful, wannabes, committed, determined. These are your feelings of your current customers. But they're feeling now or what they want to be inspired to feel. So if fun is on here, it's not like podcasting is the most important thing. It's fun. It's purposeful. We know what we're doing. We know what we set out to do. This is that part of branding.
Lots of good speakers. John Thurman from
Hey!
That's got to go down as the most surprising clip ever when I've been a guest on the show. I mean, I knew that I met you there. I remembered all that very well, but I did not remember that in that vlog I had actual video of your talk.
You did. You took me
and
right.
me talking about your talk, and then so it's great to shoot video at events, like little clips and things. I mean, it's like, wow. But you finding that is deep in the archives.
That is deep in the archives, and I have a reason for it other than just to be adorable between the two of us. I did do that talk. I did give away a 20-minute consultation, You may or may not remember that I had to reschedule your call because I had an unmovable conflict, but I offered you an hour instead of 20 minutes to make up for it, and we were off to the races.
Yeah.
They were like, people don't do that. And we really connected over that. And I still have the original email of our thread, and I still have the original email of you doing some homework on the worksheet and turning it in.
Well, it so stood out to me because, particularly in the online world where, everybody's categorized as a Facebook friend or whatever, but you don't know everybody all that well, and it's easy for people to forget something or disappear or whatever. But I don't think I ever had anybody write me a note saying, this is where I apologize, no excuses, and I'm going to make it up to you by offering you. And I was like, you don't have to do that. Just the fact that you even acknowledged that you couldn't make the appointment was wonderful. But when you were willing to go above and beyond, and I don't know, I wasn't that comfortable even asking you to do that or letting you do that. But no, it spoke volumes about who you are and like the way you conduct business and all that. It was so rare, and it seems like it's such an obvious thing to do when I'm explaining it like this, but nobody does it. I mean, nobody does it. Nobody offers something better, or very rarely do they offer something better, and that's that stood out so strongly when you did that.
Oh my God, I love you too. My whole point of sharing this is for the audience at home who may not understand how opportunities like this can turn into relationships that last forever, friends.
Yeah.
Because you and I had that interaction and we just kept showing up for each other in that small moment, over time, we have built and grown into more and more of a relationship. Now I'm honored. I've participated in your project 100 TV. Now I'm honored to be a part of the Stream Leader Report live panel show every Thursday after not having really much live streaming experience at all. And that is because, I think that in business, we spend a lot of time kind of looking up and down. I got to get better. I got to level up. I got to move myself up. I got to up my network. And we forget to integrate horizontally.
Yes.
So you and I were both integrating horizontally. And to me, that's how you build a network. And to me, that's how you got 100 plus people to submit to you year after year, 4 years running, prediction for what they think the future of live streaming and digital media might look like. And you are then able to curate this collaborative environment to create something that's bigger than you could have created on your own. And it's because you horizontally integrate. And I just wanted to tell that story to say, here's a case study of two people who did not know each other, who took a chance to just show up for another colleague in their, across the line. And now we co-collaborate on all these awesome projects.
Had you seen that video before we talked, like on a Zoom call or whatever, or had you not seen that till afterwards? And I was like, oh, check out this video. I got a clip of you or something.
I'm pretty sure you gave me the heads up that it was out there. And I was kind of shocked because honestly, that's the very beginning of my any kind of speaking or thought leadership career at all. I had just left the agency that I was just like a content creator at, and now stepping out on my own. So to me, it was like, oh my God, I spoke and someone recorded it and noted it. That was kind of shocking. Your entrepreneurial journey is often working in a silo, and sometimes you don't even notice who you're going to influence or impact. So do the conference, offer the call. If you can't make the call, offer an hour instead of 20 minutes. Show up for people, and you can be as cool as Ross.
One of the things that another thing people don't do enough of, let's put it that way, is take photos of somebody who's speaking, or take a clip of video or whatever and post it on social. And that means so much. Like when there have been events where, I haven't set up a camera or anything like that, and I can remember who and when. Oh, this part, I can remember. I can remember Eddie Garrison back at Podfest snapping some photos. I can remember Brian Schulman emailing me, video. I can remember Karen Yankovic at Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference sending me, a photo or posting a photo on Twitter that I could then grab and have some. So, and Joey Garrity and I, we make a point like at Podfest to film each other's talks, and I can think back over the years that people have done that for me or I've done it for them, and think about that. I mean, you're capturing a moment in time that like otherwise it's lost forever. Basically, you give the talk, you come back home, and but when somebody does that and captures it for you, and you're not even expecting it, that means a lot. And I hope, it was good for you to see, because you were killing it at that, and your session just stood out. And there were a lot of professional speakers there, people who, get paid a lot of money to speak around the world and whatever. And your session was, because it was interactive and because we left with something. We left with something we could actually implement, versus inspirational or how I did this or what have you. And that's another lesson that I learned from that event, is that, it's nice when people go to an event and they listen to a talk, but they come out with something that they can carry with them and actually implement.
I think in order to do that as a speaker, and we're kind of getting a little off topic, but in order to do that as a speaker, it requires risk, which is live streaming and digital media anyway, requires risk. I could have polished, would I have been rusty or green? I guess those are polar opposites at it. Sure, because I didn't have a lot of speaking experience. But what I do when I go into something like that is I use the kind of the power of writing a positioning statement, and the whole group writes a positioning statement of the conference you're at right now. Right now, the thing we're doing. And what if it doesn't pull off? What if we can't come up with a positioning statement? What if the concept is lost on people? There's so much risk to go out there and just, hey, everybody, let's position the conference we're at right now as a group. And through that process, you'll understand why identifying who are your people, what do they need, who are you, what do you deliver, why are you special, different on the one, can really make an impact on how you do branding. So I think, although it is a rabbit hole of like, okay, what do you do at a conference or podcast to be interesting? It is about risk taking. And I think that's community is your jam and risk taking is your jam, because it takes a lot to like click live and just go on and like do the thing and hope that your visuals come up and hope your guests show up and hope you don't, accidentally share a tab from OnlyFans. I don't know. It's a nap. Yeah, I don't even know. TMI. Indeed. No. So it's the power of collaboration and horizontal integration, I think, that makes 100 Predictions so special.
And it's also letting things take their course and not expecting like the ROI of meeting someone or whatever to play out completely right there. I mean, it's 5 to 6 years later that we're now co-hosts on a show with Claudia, who's in the chat, and Rob. But that didn't take place right away doesn't mean that, number one, there wasn't value in the relationship, but just know that where we're at now, like these things, you don't always like look a quarter later and go, wow, I made a Zoom call with Rebecca, and that now we're partnering up on 7 different things or whatever. And so that patience, I think I knew that you were going to be good at live streaming from the second I saw you giving that talk. And you waited a while before you jumped in, but I think you're happy you jumped in now.
I'm definitely happy I jumped in now. Look at all these cool people who are in the comments. Thank you for acknowledging Claudia in the comments. I'm sure that Doug Cohen wants you to know that he is here. Doug. Tony Pareco is here with a powerful question. I'm sure it's going to be thought-provoking. We'll bring that up in a second. Mm-hmm. Claudia is here. Beauty Bubble. Oh, my God. #1 super fan. Beauty Bubble to me is like what people think of like with Batman, like who is that masked man? Like who is that person? So compelling. Always here in the comments, which is awesome. Beauty Bubble wants us to know that the mosaic of personality has proved to be long held fight, but so worth every day. What a wordsmith.
That is nice.
What a wordsmith. Let's get to Tony's questions while we're here in the comments
Sure.
here. Ross, how do you predict AI will be impacted? Oh. Tony, listen, watch the Stream Leader report. That is literally all we talk about. Thursdays at 1:30 on YouTube and varying channels, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. That is literally all we talk about. Do you want to address this question,
this
Ross?
is the
I don't want to
subject.
ignore
This is like the number one theme if you were to put themes together in the book. Not just live streaming, but all aspects of online media and online business and digital creation. I would say the consensus view is that it's more of a helper than it is a replacement or a hindrance, but we really don't know what it's going to become and where it's going to go. People have strong opinions on that, but I would say the consensus view is that we'll be able to do things faster. On the productivity side, the things that aren't the essence of your show, which is you, your personality, your knowledge, you hosting it, how you interact with your audience, but transcripts and thumbnails and, all the other things you have to do, repurposing clips to keep a show going and to be out there, those things may come together faster, your descriptions and all that. And then I think Larry Roberts mentioned, and he's kind of cutting edge on this, he mentioned in the book some different ways that actually within live streaming, like analyzing audience engagement, real-time editing even of your video while it's being streamed and so forth, that there's a lot of little things that particularly on the engagement side, that AI could help with, which again is sort of a nice addition to what we're doing as the conversation, but it doesn't change what is the fundamental essence of a live stream talk show.
I couldn't agree with you and that contributor anymore, because I do believe that what AI does not have is perspective. And your POV can never be duplicated.
Right.
So, go ahead and try. I think we could just calm down a little bit.
I think, as a writer, I don't know if you've played around with AI at all, but
I have not at all. And not because I'm like, no, it's faster for me to write it myself. It's probably not even true, but I don't know. I haven't done it.
It can write descriptively, but it's still descriptively in the general category. It's not bringing you into it. So, I wrote for my introduction to the book, I wrote probably about 3 different versions myself, and then I dropped it into ChatGPT, and I said, "Is there something you can do to combine the bullet points from 2 with the 1 or whatever?" And each time it did another version, it rewrote everything kind of. And in the end, I went with what I had done, and then I pulled one idea for shifting a paragraph around or something. But overall, I would say that it did not save me time or change my voice or anything like that. It was still just, I think I used it mostly for, would you put a comma in the sentence or not? And I would give the background and the case, why a comma should go here or why you might not put it there, or, things with punctuation and grammar. And I found it interesting. And what I could, instead of having to look things up, I'd be like, what's the AP style guide say about how to do numerals for this situation? Or, I'd say what's the right way to do this? And it would give me 3 different, I go, give me the AP style, or what's the style for a a book written for the general public or whatever. So there are things that you can get quickly without having to go to each style guide and compare. Like it'll give me all the major style guides for how to put things, all of which probably resulted in more time on proofreading the book and doing the introduction and all this stuff. Because in the past, I would have just read through and go, there should be a comma there shouldn't be, whatever, get somebody else's opinion. But generally, like, I see it, I don't see it. Now it's like I was able to question all this stuff. So I think it's going to be a much cleaner copy with fewer,
Oxford commas.
Punctual, yeah, but no Oxford commas. No, we took out like that. That's the other project.
We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight to the death.
I probably spent 3 hours taking out Oxford commas.
Ross,
alone.
It was an active part of writing the foreword to not include like I had to be like, don't do it, and then move on. Like you and I have a philosophical disagreement about the value of Oxford commas, but
that was another question. I used ChatGPT because like I have my no Oxford commas, but then there's a few places where I would use it because it made it cleaner and easier to read.
Exactly.
And so I would put it into ChatGPT and go, using a style guide that is no Oxford commas, would you have a comma here or not? And it would be interesting to see what the response.
That is.
God, I'm such a writing nerd.
Oh
you
my
didn't
God.
know that. Let's get back to the live streaming prediction.
We did well. Doug makes a really good point in the comments about just ideating titles for a blog. I have a client who's an accountant, and their whole brand is like not the calculator, shirt and tie, pencil behind the ear kind of accountant.
Right.
And then they'll use it to ideate, like create job descriptions for accountants who work at Disney World, and just to kind of like get super creative and see, just to kind of push your own thinking and out of your own paradigm. So I think Doug makes an awesome point here, and I'm sure we'll have a lot more to say about AI when Rob Greenlee comes out here and tells us all about his idea for the AI Constitution.
Yeah, and I think as I start scheduling our shows more in advance, it might not be a bad idea to give ChatGPT some ideas, like Doug says, for the YouTube title. And like, obviously it's a few months or 6 months behind or whatever is current, but still just ideas for other words that I might not have thought to test as keywords or
keywords. Ooh, the bane of my existence.
Beauty Bubble, I got to bring in this comment. She said she mentions Bard has been reminding I'm here for you, and now I'm sort of side-eyeing him. Actually, I would alternate and go to Bard because I would use up my asking. Like when I was proofreading, I would use up my questions in ChatGPT Plus or whatever I have, and so then I would go over to Bard, and Bard gave different kind of answers sometimes. It was very interesting. I like Bard for certain things, but I think for the writing stuff, I like the way ChatGPT gave me more than I needed. It was like, here's why you would want to do this, here's why you would do that. Like it saw subtleties and things, which I found really, really cool.
That is an interesting way to not be afraid of it. Mm-hmm. And I love it. One thing ChatGPT cannot do, though, is make predictions for the future. So let's get that crystal ball back out and running. I would like to bring to the stage, if you will have them, our two very esteemed guests and colleagues, co-hosts on the Streamliner Report, again, here on YouTube at the Livestream Universe channel, also the Stone Fruit channel, and various, also LinkedIn for you, Ross, and also for me, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time every Thursday. Our co-panelists on this, we all come together and talk about the hottest news topics and cut up on the Stream Leader Report, which is your show. Our co-hosts are Claudia Santiago, international entertainer, Spitfire,
Hey, Claudia.
coach, and she coaches entertainers. She's a prolific producer herself, content creator. She's got a personality on fire. She makes me like Latin music like I've never liked before. She is here with us today, and also podcasting Hall of Famer Rob Greenlee, who has more of a resume than I could list out and stay within this hour of a show. Our colleagues at Streamline Report, welcome. Thanks for being here with us today.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Yeah.
Great to be here, you guys. I'm wearing my Ross colors for his new book.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Look at that. Claudia is always on brand. We're on brand, and Claudia is on brand for sure.
This is such a nice surprise because when you're on as a guest on StreamYard, you're not the host. You can't see who's waiting, and so this is so cool that everybody's here.
Ross, we have to do you right because you do everybody else right. You are so inclusive. You're such a community builder, and I know you don't want to hear it because you don't see it, but we do. And it made, I didn't want to do a show that didn't bring forth the full honorarium to you, sir. So we've done as much show and tell. I even did a show run and printed it out, which I never do, so that I could honor you as you honor the rest of us. Claudia, Rob, and I all had the honor of working on the foreword to this book, and I thought it would be very cool for us to maybe take a little sneak peek about kind of our ideas around that foreword, and also tap into these guys who have been submitting predictions since Volume 1 ? Or at least very in, and I'd love to hear.
I think Claudia's been in every year since 2017.
Oh my God, Claudia!
So
Great.
what? That's
yes.
eight. This is your 8th year.
Yes, what an honor, honestly.
And
Yeah.
Rob's been, I think, consistently in probably since 2019 or 2018,
Yeah.
maybe. So you've
That-
both been in all 4 books, obviously. So that's so cool. And now, hosting a show together, I don't think we would have predicted that even a year ago. So
Definitely not. Ross, I think it would be awesome to hear a little bit for folks at home who aren't as familiar with you or 100 Predictions or Livestream Universe, to talk a little bit about why did you start 100 Predictions? I know that we started this on a blog, so maybe talk a little bit about that. And then why the predictions were so fire that you decided to take it to the next level with a book series and keep doing it year after year. Tell us your story, Ross Brand.
So when I started with live streaming, I just fell in love with the whole thing. I just, Blab was kind of the big thing at that time, and people were talking about like Facebook Live is going to come sometime in 2016, and will that be a Blab killer or a Periscope killer or whatever? And I thought, let's get these predictions down. People are interested in this, and like I'm meeting all these great people who are hosting shows and doing, either Blab talk shows or they're doing mobile video on Periscope. Let's get their thoughts together and I think people would be interested in this, and Livestream Universe was new, so this was something that I thought could be repeated, year after year, could kind of become like a tradition and then it was so much work the first year that I was probably the second year when it came around that time, I wasn't sure if I was going to do it again, and I by that time, I had connected with Beauty Bubble, and she was like, you cannot just let this thing go. This is like, you know how powerful this is? And so, all right, I stuck, like each year I tell myself this will be the last year that I do it so that I can get through it. But I really do enjoy it. It's at the end where you're pushing to finally get it done, and you're doing that proofreading it again, or you found something in the graphics and you have to go through them again or whatever. That's the part that it's like I never want to do that again. But like the actual reading what people write and reconnecting. For some people, like, this project is the only time I usually chat with them during the year. So it's kept me in touch with, so many people. And people find it valuable. And over the years, like, industry people would tell me, like, oh, I read your predictions and stuff. And then when the pandemic hit, that's when we thought, okay, maybe we should do this in book form, because now everybody's using these tools. It's not just industry people. This is like everybody's doing Zoom meetings. Everybody needs audio and video tools, and everybody's business could benefit from having an online presence. So
So
I
why
didn't
not
really
write?
know what the reaction was going to be, but obviously the reaction to the book did go beyond industry people.
So why not write a how-to or a procedural or a manual? Why 100 predictions?
As a book, you mean?
Mhm.
Or
Yeah, I mean, if you're
because
like,
it
okay,
was
everybody's doing it. Sorry, Ross.
I had the content for it. Like, I had so much content from this that it made sense to do it in book form. It was already something that I think there was interested in can provide value. And the reason I didn't do something else is because when I'm done with this project at the end of the year or the beginning of the next year, the last thing I want to do is write a book. Although I got to tell you, as much work as this year was, I do want to maybe dip my hand into writing a book on something else in between this and next year when I give in and do the fifth volume of 100 predictions.
From
What
your
that's
lips
going to
to
be,
God's
I
ear.
don't know yet, but
That is awesome. You heard it here, folks. First on the Stone Fruit Roll-Up.
don't hold me to it, please.
Well, we're holding you to it. We're holding you to it. I think, though, that's another lesson, though, for content creators beyond the like, wow, that's so awesome that you've got something on Amazon. Take what you're already doing and format it into something valuable for the community. You don't have to start and be like, well, the only way I can be a prolific thought leader is to start and write from scratch. You can source from the people around you. You can look at what you already have. You can make sure that it fits some sort of niche or need without reinventing the wheel, which is why live streaming is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rob, Claudia, I'd love to hear your experiences with the predictions. And I guess before I'll back up and frame it and say, like, this is the kind of project that people could just phone in. Like, people could just be like, I predict AI will take over everything, and just send it off to just kind of fulfill an obligation. But I know the quality of the submissions you get is chef's kiss. People really take a lot of time to participate in this and enjoy the experience. Now, Rob, Claudia, I'd love to hear from you guys why you care so much about this project and why you take so much time with your own predictions and participate year after year.
Rock, go first.
You want me to go first? Okay.
That way.
Yeah, I wanted to mention too that Ross usually writes a little bit at the beginning of the book of his own kind of predictions and his own thoughts too. So I think it's beyond just his co-penners of trend predictions. So Ross is kind of contributing his thoughts to this. It's just not putting out other people's thoughts, though that makes it kind of more compelling because it's sharing his thoughts with other people's thoughts, which is really powerful. And I think it's just a example of people that are actually in the trenches doing this kind of work and sharing it with others to help them understand kind of where the landscape is shifting to. So when they want to consider being a content creator, that they can kind of adjust the sails, right, to be able to catch the wind that's blowing in the right direction. And so I kind of like the analogy of a sailboat, and that's kind of what this boat is it's casting a big sail up in the air to catch the winds of the direction that things are going in the digital media and online creation landscape. So that's what I tried to do with my section in the book, was to really kind of think ahead about where things are shifting to and where things are moving towards, and to help people on that side of things, because things are always evolving and changing. They're not it's not usually a revolution. It's more of a evolution, is what's happened and over the 20 years that I've been involved in creating online media, whether it's the radio or getting involved in live streaming video, which I've really doubled down on over the last year at least, but also going way back many years. So, it's terrific that Ross has taken this kind of leadership role in helping content creators kind of adapt their direction and how they strategize about what they're doing.
Oh, you teased your own prediction, Rob. Do you care to share?
Well, I can't share the full predictions, but that's kind of what my foreword was really all about, was just sharing the perspective on what this book can bring to a new content creator as well as an existing content creator, because you may be running into roadblocks, right, of success or what you set as your goals. And this may, individually in this book, a particular individual may be able to be associated directly with your situation and may be able to share a couple of tips to help you get over that hump.
Well, I'm on the edge of my seat, brother, of your crystal balling for sure. Claudia, I know you're passionate about this project. We've had a lot of conversations both on and offline about it. I'd love to hear your experience as well, and maybe why you think Volume 4 is special.
Yeah. Well, for me personally and professionally, it's almost been like a mentoring and a learning tool, but also learning and growing in community. Many of the people that are involved in the book and that have walked with Ross for years, we go way back, like Blab days, like, way back where we were just learning how to, in fact, I don't know if you remember this, Ross, but we would have multiple cameras set up, before we had distribution platforms and all that. It has been a journey of not just learning the tech, not just learning about what's new and what's working or not, but because, like I said, there's just been this, I don't know what even to call it, but this secret weaving that Ross has managed to do with all of this, that's built a community. We all follow one another, and we're able to navigate the seasons of life and careers. There's some people that have started live streaming, and then added another business to that, and it's just been really cool. Rebecca, you're coaching a lot of business people all the time, and it's so cool, isn't it, when people start growing other businesses, bringing in other skills. So for me, it's been an amazing thing to see it all come together in a book, because if you look in the book, you will see names, but you will also see where to find them. It's such a resource. I keep saying, this may become a series of textbooks in the future, when in college campuses, when they're studying business and history of how live streaming came about and social media and all that. So anyways, it's just been a wonderful thing, not just on the tech end and the business end, but actually to see human beings living out their humanness in their workplace, and as a community. I just want to say something, like way back, I don't know if you guys remember, like Blab, when that blew up, the platform blew up. Then we were all kind of left hanging there going, what are we going to do now? Okay, then everybody started pitching in, hey, there's this new platform coming up here. There's this new one coming up here. And for me, people like Ross were like my big brothers. It was like, okay, I'm gonna test that out and know my computer's not gonna blow up if I do. So, it was just, it's just been a journey, I guess, in growth, both personally and community, and also entrepreneurially. In the entertainment industry, same sort of thing happens there, but in a different way. Like this venue is like about to shut down. This agency is like not being straightforward. You know, us as a community, we learn from one another. And I think that's part of the big beauty of this as well.
The big beauty bubble, I might say.
The big beauty bubble.
Well, we're burying the lead here, Ross, because everybody wants to know what are one or two of the hot predictions that we can anticipate, or maybe some overarching themes. Give us the tea.
Okay, so a couple of other themes that aren't completely AI related are micro is the new macro. So there's a lot of talk about smaller events, regional events, local events, short virtual experiences, maybe replacing or in addition to some of the big industry conferences as one thing. Another thing is there was a prediction about micro influencers getting more brand deals, and the relationship between the micro influencer and the audience being so tight that's of interest to a lot of brands now versus the massive influencer with a huge audience. Let's see what else. Oh, also in the education area, perhaps people are getting back to wanting either in person or live virtual education. So we're going to see more micro learning available, like maybe a 5-minute video or a 5-minute online self-directed lesson, something like that. So those are some of the areas I think where things are maybe going to break down on a smaller scale, as well as the fact that I think if you want to monetize online content, the thought previously was about growing a big audience, and now I think growing a community from day one, and the community will never be everyone that watches your show or reads your blog or listens to your podcast, but those are the people who are most engaged and the people most likely to pay you, to interact with you, to contribute. So people may think more about how's my community doing than how many subscribers I have on my YouTube channel or how many downloads my podcast got, but how many people are in my Facebook group or join my locals community or are on my email list and so forth, and thinking, that's really, if this is a business, that's really where my customer base is.
I think that is the most freeing idea of all of live streaming. We get so obsessed with how many people are watching right now. Oh, well, I only got 14 views. Oh, well, why am I even doing this? No one's watching. Oh, there are only 2 eyeballs here. Then those are the most important eyeballs in the world. Those 2 people in your comments are the most important thing. And I learned that from my 15-year-old who did their first stone fruit roll-up. It was just really focused on the people who were actually in the comments instead of worrying about, what's my visibility? Am I wasting my time? No one's ever watching. Freedom from that, so you can just focus on your people.
Yeah, I mean, the comment, thank goodness vanity metrics are out. Somebody's prediction was actually that we're going to move away from vanity metrics and back towards, how many people are you actually connecting with is the real, and are you bringing, with AI and everything now, it's like, what are you bringing to the table? Because if something's just going to kind of be going through the motion and kind of be disconnected from your audience, then why not just have a ChatGPT pump out a script or a text? You want these to be opportunities to really connect. And I got to say about Claudia, going back to the predictions, and you talk about people not mailing it in or whatever. Claudia always came up with these unique takes on things. because when I was doing as a blog post, there were so many. It was like such a long blog post that if somebody did a longer prediction that could itself be a short little story, I would pull it out like a sidebar piece. And I think several times Claudia's predictions had so much to them and were so unique that I could pull it out as a sidebar piece and then still keep a separate part of it as her regular prediction. And I don't know if it's as far back as 2017, but Claudia was talking about self-care for creators and, the mental health challenges of being online a lot before anybody was talking about that. And that was in her prediction. So that was really kind of groundbreaking. And, I just got asked to be like a couple months ago, whatever, to be on a panel at Podfest talking about creator self-care, which, I'm doing my regular talk, but this was an addition, and I can't be more happy to talk about this. I think this is an issue that has to be talked about, and it has to be how do you build a sustainable business and keep your mental well-being when your business revolves around all these devices and being connected 24/7 to a volume of people that we've never had in our human existence contact with,
Yeah.
So it's a tremendously important topic, and Claudia's always pushing the boundaries and finding different angles from what everybody else is talking about. And let me mention also that Rob's got such a wealth of experience combined with insider knowledge, combined with being a practitioner himself, that when his predictions come out, it's not like, hey, where am I gonna throw at the dartboard this year? But it's like, okay, I've seen these things develop. I have a good idea of which ones you should probably focus in on. So there's certain people that you read and you just like, well, this is really a guide to what to do as much as it is what's going to happen. And that's how, I've always looked at Rob's predictions, and, he brings so much credibility from his background, again, both doing it and being on the inside of the industry.
It's awesome to hear you talk about these guys like that.
Well, thank you, Ross. And I just quickly want to respond to that honestly, when I said earlier that being involved in this has been almost such a growing thing in a mentorship, because when I do think out of the box. Maybe I haven't figured that out yet, but when I do, I get such a strong sense of something that I feel like I need to speak it out. But as a newbie in the scene, a newbie in the community, you're kind of a little shy too at first to do that. And Ross really empowered me to voice the things that I see out of the box, and that it is of value to the community. So thank you, Ross, for, I guess, creating that space for all of us to really be authentically who we are and voice the things that matter to us, or that we feel that we're getting insight on.
Beyond the business aspect of it.
Exactly.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Ross, I'm curious, what prediction last year that came true? Can you think of one where you were like, I never thought that would be the thing, but here it is? Or in previous years? Or a little story?
A lot of them have come true, more than you'd think. There's one standout that's coming true.
I think you'd have to go back and work, right?
While we have this commercial break, Kathleen, maybe you can throw up the Amazon page for us, and we can all look
people
at
were
it.
kind of ahead of the curve on newsletters, like Kim Doyle, Coach Jenny. Now it goes by Jenny Mustafa Julak. Some other people were really ahead of sort of the re-energizing of email marketing and how important that is. So I would say that's a major trend. But there were people like who predicted, I forget now, and I feel bad to not have the name on the tip of my tongue, but like somebody predicted LinkedIn Live before that was a thing. Somebody predicted when Instagram was going to go live, and different features. And of course there were predictions about things that were going to happen that haven't happened, right? Like, I'm sure people predicted, if I were to look back, I'm sure I would find something about Pinterest having wide, live streaming open to everybody and being a major sales channel. And it has some of that, but it's not become a major destination amongst all sectors of the population for that, like Amazon or, TikTok and so forth.
Yeah, I think where you kind of run into some limitations on those type of topics of what's going to come true or not is that sometimes people will make predictions about the future based on what they would like the future to look like, and that's different than actually looking at the market and trying to evaluate it based on the evolutionary trends that you're seeing and where things are moving. It's not so much what I want to see happen. It's more like what is likely to happen based on the past, the present, and as we look to trends moving into the future. And that's really how I focused on my kind of article that I submitted to this. It's probably I don't know if it's a 2-page article, Ross, but there's a lot of points in it that cover a lot of diverse areas of the evolution of online media, and it's not just about podcasting. I mean, I want to be clear about that too, because it's not just about podcasting. It's applicable to all online media as well. But podcasting is really a good example of a microcosm of what's happening around online media. So having that connection to podcasting is definitely relevant. And as we see the market kind of expanding its perception of what a podcast actually is moving more towards being a referential term to a type of online content. And that's where we need to get into this area as well as, okay, how do we define podcasting as we move into this new era of podcasting, meaning content, not a distribution strategy? So, because for most of podcasting's existence, it's been a referential term towards a certain specific type of distribution, which was all RSS based. So
I know that's a fight in the comments we could get into for sure.
Oh, it's definitely a fight in the podcasting industry because they don't want to let go of that, right? They want to keep that RSS linkage to the term podcast. But the problem is that increasingly this industry needs to accept that listeners and viewers have a say here in how they're perceiving it. As an industry, we can definitely take the risk of making a mistake in how we position the industry to not take advantage of what the audience is seeing.
Well, I think it's elevated the cachet of having a podcast. Now that you have all these former big media people who have podcasts, you have senators who have podcasts, you have, pretty much like every business now that's an online business, go along the top of the person or the CEO's line of things on the website, and it's like podcast, book, contact, and so I think it's elevated because not just that, but celebrities and a lot of them are doing video podcasts. So whether they're doing a direct upload to YouTube and then sharing it out or which way, I think ultimately it's going to become semantics because society now has decided that a podcast is a pretty big thing. And if you're running for president or you better consider that the podcast format may be the best way for you to reach niche audiences and get your message out in a way where you're not interrupted or cut down to 30-second sound bites.
Woo!
Whoa.
Go ahead.
We should probably do a show in a
We should probably do a show.
That's right. I think we. Yeah.
Oh my God!
Crew is going to be back together again.
I don't know. See you in like half an hour.
just keep going.
Oh my God, that's
We'll
a
just
great
keep
idea. That's a great idea. Let's round out this with a little round robin, because I know Ross likes to do that, so I want to honor
Okay.
him. If you had a magic wand, what and could make any of your prediction come true, what's the one thing you'd want for the future of live streaming and digital media? Claudia,
Hot.
you have a magic wand. You can do anything you want. Change the world, girl.
What would I want for the future of live streaming? I'd like to see for myself a major tech change. I get frustrated sometimes with some of the current tech. I know we've got robots in the works and brain implants and AI and all that. But honestly, for me, especially when I'm traveling, I would love to see some of the tech for live streaming change up a bit so it's easier, it's more compact, more, and some of you tech heads might be all dinging my inbox and telling me what the next product is, but no,
Talk to Rob about audio. There's some cool solutions he's working on.
That's where I am. That's where I am at. And as an entertainer, sometimes when you're trying to go live stream from a venue, oh my gosh, it's like, it's brutal. And then you get the crappiest audio. Anyways, that's my rant.
Okay, that's your magic wand, girl. Better, more accessible equipment and software. Rob, what are you doing with your magic wand?
Well, just to kind of dovetail off of Claudia there, I think that is an astute observation, that the industry and the technology sector is focused on doing that. And I think AI has a potential role in making things more simplified. I know the companies that I'm talking to, that's one of the key things that I try and discuss with them is how are you going to be able to use or going to attempt to use AI to streamline workflows and processes for content creators to make it easier, not so much to replace them, but to augment drudgery that a lot of content creators have to go through to get content out the door. Is that how can we can streamline this? How can we use AI as an advantage for us? Now, the result of that will be a lot more content dumped on the internet, and also, but all of us can do that. And I guess that raises another question, is that, the media landscape, if you look historically, was built around scarcity. So we're moving into an era, and YouTube is a classic example of this, of abundance of content. So and that's got its own unique challenges as well. As we make this easier, that's going to flood the industry with content. So at the end of the day of all this is, what's the quality of the content, right? What's the relevancy to the audience is what's most important. And the more content that moves to the internet, the more important that becomes. So
again, you can't AI perspective.
Yeah,
for sure. Ross, what are you doing with your magic wand?
I mean, I would love to see more companies allow their top executives to live stream or encourage them to use
I think
that
we're going to see that
as a tool for building relationships.
You've
with
said that since
customers.
the first time I ever talked to you.
But well, it still hasn't happened to the degree that it should.
Right.
For crisis communication, like, if you're good enough, if they can trust you enough to manage billion-dollar P&Ls, why can't they trust you to directly talk to people when something happens, rather than wait till Monday and have everything like?
Yeah.
They're still behind this. Too many companies are behind the story, and they're not able to correct on the fly. And they, I mean, all you have to do is look at like the testimony before Congress of the presidents of Ivy League universities and how horrible that was. And you're wondering, okay, can these people speak? Like, can they? If they had a live stream show or were going live regularly, they would know that there's the lawyerly answer, but then there's also the human connection with real people. and probably all three of them would be safe and secure in their job because they would realize you could have done both things, but they didn't. They just gave the same lawyerly answer all three of them gave, and it destroyed their credibility instantly.
Yeah, I agree with that, Ross. I think
Totally.
we're moving into an era here, and a lot of it gets back to fundamentally to the economics of what's happening too, and companies' connections with their customers, right? People trust people more than they trust brands. So if a brand is talking to you, without anybody, a person or somebody responsible as the front person, there's not going to be as much trust built than if the CEO or if the director of marketing or the director of sales or whatever is talking to their customers and taking feedback and being accountable to their customers. And that's what I think we're going to see more of in the new year here is, this is also a way for companies to save money too, because then they don't have to invest in, I guess, unfortunately, influencers are kind of not as in vogue as they used to be, right? So now it's going to be micro influencers, which will include staff from the company being more up there, out front, representing the company. I've seen a lot of success with that over the years in a lot of the companies. I mean, like I used to work at Microsoft, and I was the front person for the Zune podcasting platform for many years, and at one of the biggest companies in the world. And that was an extremely powerful connection to the people that were using that platform, is to have someone that they could see, right? Not just an unseen corporation that has a brand and there's nobody behind it.
We all know corporate has a PR problem right now with corporate greed and greedflation. So let that be a lesson to anybody out there who's running the helm at corporate. This is your opportunity to actually connect with your customers instead of continuing to piss them off.
And to hide.
Yeah, indeed. My magic wand would be that people could would banish fear, I think, and give folks more freedom to kind of not feel that they can only do it one way, to not feel like you can't launch a show until it's perfectly polished and you know exactly what you're doing, feel like you can't be wildly experimental, that you have to follow trends. The only way I can have a business podcast is if I do an interview show. That's not true. I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe it is or it's not. We'll find out when the crystal ball reveals itself. But I can banish fear and allow people to care about the comments more than the views. Just be experimental. Just turn on the camera and go. You got to be bad for a while before you can be good. And I think that the fear of the amount of, the ubiquitousness of the content creation that's coming, like the tidal wave that Rob described, and just our kind of panic of like, how do you do business? How do you do media? How do you do marketing? And be free to truly build a community. So that's my magic wand. The four of our magic wands are seriously going to be powerful. Yep, Kathleen, I absolutely addressed your question about trends. Like, I think that if we could be more brave about it, then we would have a lot more interesting content, which would be quality. And that's going to take banishing fear. All right. I know we're like super over time, but I want to make sure that folks who are watching in the replay or live here on the Stone Fruit Roll-Up have an opportunity to know how they can buy the book. Kathleen, if you wouldn't mind flashing your Amazon author page for Ross. And in the meantime, Ross, tell people how they can find you otherwise.
Livestreamuniverse.com and Livestream Universe on YouTube, or Ross Brand on Amazon. And on Amazon, it probably, I'd say probably 2 weeks. But I'll be putting out certainly content around the book to let people know that when it's coming out and how they can get it.
Before people get too excited, Ross, can you walk into a Barnes and Noble or a Politics and Prose and buy this off the shelf?
Are there still Barnes and Noble? Because the ones near me. shut down.
No, we haven't. Barnes and
No,
Noble
there
is
are.
still-
I've been in one here recently. So right.
Can someone buy this off the shelf?
I don't know. I
don't know?
But you could order it through
probably-
different platforms.
Is
Whether you
Amazon
can
the only
order-
place?
Right away, it's going to be available on Amazon, and then after that, there's wider distribution that takes place. But, I mean, the ebook will be 99 cents on the first day, so that's hopefully encouragement to a lot of people, and the paperback will be available as well on the first day.
I need the paperback. Claudia, tell folks where they can find you. I know that no one in this audience is going to get enough Claudia to satisfy them. They need more of your vivacity and audacity and true authenticity.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, first of all, I want to just say thank you to Ross for having us all in the forward, and thank you to you, Rebecca, for helping pull it together too, and Rob. It's just your genius is always astounds me. I'm just honored to be part of this forward, part of the book, and part of this community. And yes, you can find me at claudiasantiago.com. And once you hit that site, you'll be able to find me all the other places too.
Amazing. Rob Podcasting Hall of Famer, womp, 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 womp. Rob Greenlee. Where can people sign up for this AI Constitution and get more of your of your professional and passionate prognostications about podcasting?
Yeah, I think the AI Constitution thing is a good idea. I don't know that anybody is moving on it. I think the whole AI thing has gotten a little out of control already, so it may be too late to do a constitution.
I love that you're still for it, though.
I know I'm definitely for it, but it's a much more complicated topic than I think most people realize what's happening with that, because there may be a lot of developments with AI that we just don't know about that are happening at private companies, behind the scenes at Google and things like that they don't even want to let us know about yet because it's too shocking.
Well,
right.
where can people find you to be shocked?
Well, probably the best thing to do is if you want to follow me, stay watching video for the next 10 minutes as we transition to the Stream Leaders Report group show that's coming up here at 1:30, and then at 7:00 tonight Eastern time, I'm back doing my live podcast tips with Rob Greenlee show on the StreamYard channels. So I've got a terrific podcaster that's a guest, John Miles, who's built a very successful podcast called Passion Struck, and he's utilizing YouTube as well as audio podcasting to build his program. So we're going to talk all about that, share some tips there.
That is delicious.
Yep.
Ross, any last final? Give some advice to Volume 5 people that they should be paying attention to right now.
Buy Volume 4, read it closely, look at what Claudia writes, look at what Rebecca writes, look at what Rob writes, and get ready for Volume 5, the 5th anniversary of the book.
Oh my God.
But for now, everybody come see us. We'll be live in about 15 minutes.
We'll be live in about 15 minutes. Absolutely right. Let's end a show and then let's do a show.
All right. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. Stream Leader Report, 100 Predictions, Ross Brand, Claudia Santiago, Rob Greenlee. I am Rebecca Gunter. You just watched the Stone Fruit Roll Up in our extended version today. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button because it does help in this world. So, Kathleen, fade us out, girl.